Well, welcome one and all. We've got the whole crew in here. Thank you for coming in, chilling with us. We're just gonna have a nice casual chat today, amongst holders and friends of the ENS Art project, which is a beautiful thing. And so perfect to have 888 Meta 8 in the house as well. This is right up your alley. I'm sure you'll totally appreciate our convo today, and would love to have your, round table discussion with you, legendary gentlemen, Weavy, Atmosphere, and Alex. And Atmosphere, I'm just preparing a little gift for you. So before we introduce Alex really quick, I just want to make sure, Atmosphere, do I have correctly that your wallet also has the Hudson Hornet in it, and Belgium soccer ball, Italy soccer ball, Portugal soccer ball? That's your wallet for sure?
Yeah, that's my wallet for sure.
Okay.
No,
Gift incoming. And welcome, Alex. Welcome. Let's talk about ETH Art.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So good it hurts.
I haven't spoken to you in a while, dude. I hope all's well, and it's good to hear your voice. Sounding positive as ever.
I'm glad to connect with you. I'm sorry for the delay in the interim, and thank you for your patience and everything with me. You're wonderful.
No, dude, I've had a long delay myself. I've been traveling around Europe essentially, and I kind of finally at my kind of final destination. So I'm quite glad to sort of not be traveling anymore.
Shit.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been cool. I'm in Spain now. Spain's super nice, and I'm hoping I can be more sort of productive, and more, let's say, better at just producing stuff quicker and sending it out quicker and being more of a professional person. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Well, let's have a little chance for the community to just jump right in, because you and I have had some great conversations. I want to go off about all this augmented stuff that I'm doing with Mazing XR. It's very exciting, and I already spoke with them about you and what you're doing, and your vision for kind of some of the phygital type of stuff. And so they're on board with it, and they would love to be a facilitator in that way. And so that's something I just can't wait to talk with you about. But maybe that doesn't have to happen here, but it could be a part of this convo. I just want to let it kind of breathe and flow, and allow some of the holders who are in the house, and some of the other people who may not be as familiar with your style and your vision, to sort of just get familiar. So why don't you guys just ask away? It's really, kind of that, with that intention. Unless, Alex, if you had some things that you want to kind of just put right out there, any developments or anything that you want to communicate. But otherwise, we just got to ask the peeps if they want to throw any
Yeah,
questions at you.
yeah. So I've kind of, I guess I could probably update people a little bit more about Ethon Photos, which is coming. Um, I'm kind of currently, um, kind of looking. I've just arrived in this town I'm in Spain, and I'm kind of looking for people to collaborate with in terms of printing. And I've got a company I think that I'm going to use for screen printing. The idea is becoming kind of more and more refined every day. But essentially, Ethon Photos will be, as I've mentioned on my website, kind of I want to do a very bespoke, small number of photos provided by the community, with kind of community alpha given, and photo authors will, kind of hopefully be influential people in the space, but they'll remain anonymous. The artwork will be one of one again, and I want to have them kind of printed and then screen printed, the .eth screen printed over the top. And I've done one myself, and I'm kind of just I've kind of put together a document that I'm going to sort of start to show potential photo authors. I'd like to give. I think I'm certainly going to give the photo authors or offer the photo authors a percentage of each sale. But yeah, I'm kind of wandering through the idea at the moment. And yeah, it's nearly there. I've just got to basically, I think what I need to do is essentially produce one, a bit like I did with ETH on Canvas, where I've like got the final product, and I can do a little video of like how it's produced. And I think it's all very nice to see the process, so I'll have that done. And once that's done, I can start kind of going hard at the sort of the side of getting the actual photos. I've already got a bunch of people who are really excited to provide photos, which is awesome. I'd like to get kind of influential people, which would be cool. So I've kind of got maybe some already, and basically the aesthetic's going to be the same. Some of the colors will be different, but yeah, the photos this time will have some kind of ENS meaning. They'll have relevance to the community. They'll have relevance to the person who took the photo. So yeah, that's kind of ETH photos. I'm nearly there with that. I'm just sort of fleshing out the final parts of it, and then I don't know. I think probably sort of like mid-October, late October. I think I'll be kind of ready to start really kind of pushing it, and then maybe by December, maybe November, even probably mid-November, I reckon I'll be able to release it, which is super exciting. So it'll be kind of like released in the same way with like an NFT paired with a kind of a photo that's printed in a large kind of way. But yeah, so that's the idea. I'm super excited to hear critiques and questions about it. So everyone's welcome to dive in.
Transaction submitted. Sorry, forgive me. I was alt tabbed over. I just wanted to say Atmosphere. If I've spelled it correctly and got the right wallet, you should be momentarily receiving atmosfear.eth, atmosphere.eth. It just makes no sense for you not to have that. So, and it's my first time using the ENS Ferry tool. ENSFerry.xyz is a great tool. Made it easy for me to just register it and send it to you in one foul swoop. And then apparently it maybe qualifies me for some kind of like, ooh, this guy's generous thing. So that'd be nice. I don't know.
So what did you send me? Sorry, say that again.
Oh, this went out to Atmosphere over here on this stage with us, but I was looking for any of yours. You've been swift on yours, good. But I think that it's important, for our friends. Atmosphere is a homie from the Crypto Skull community.
Okay, yeah.
And I wanted him to have atmosphere.eth, and so we were chatting just before we started off, and I thought, let's get it.
That's awesome of you. I haven't received it yet, but I'm looking right now.
And this is, I don't know exactly how delayed it is, and the process. If you're sort of newer, kind of my invitation to you to just really help you to start building that Web3 identity differently, So from your Twitter, handle and whatever else, that atmosphere.eth can become like a handle by which, I can send you a B card, and I can message you on Nifty Chat. And if we get rugged here on Twitter, we're none the worse off for it.
I love it. Thank you so much.
My guy. And I didn't want to derail the whole thing with that, but I want to share in the spirit of generosity and of adoption that's the kind of thing, pay it forward, try and find those people around you in the community. There's about a dozen of them on my list who are just friends and people who I've observed, didn't have their .eth, and it's just a great way to let somebody participate in this kind of, like really invite them to participate more deeply. Alex's work is all about what we see through that .eth window. And it's actually kind of interesting. And most people, the first thing they register is like their name or their business, thing. Your first registrations over here that I was looking at before Atmosphere, before you even registered your pseudonym, you're like looking at, Belgium soccer ball emoji text combo and stuff. And so it's really interesting to see what you see when you look through the window of .eth. And it's in many ways, that's really what this project, I think, is about for me. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to promote it and, collect it and know Alex and what he's doing with, and what he continues to do, because I think the artistic, the conceptual aspect of it is very cool, because it invites us to sort of question that for ourselves. Like, why am I storing it? Why am I amassing this big bag of ENS? What do I see, and what am I seeing? And is it even there? And do we only see what we focus on? Some of those more macro questions, I think, are definitely at play here. And so,
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the longer I spend time thinking about ENS, and I'm sure, obviously, in the last month or so, different things have happened. I mean, obviously exciting things happen every week, but It really does put into perspective, like, I mean, the idea was just to sort of say, I mean, there's sort of multiple ideas behind the aesthetic, but like one of them is like, just like you said, like seeing things through the lens of .eth in a very literal way. Like everyone, I think everyone, and I including myself, like even just more so over the last couple of weeks, like you sit at Wake and you just look around the room for shit that hasn't been registered yet, basically, and it's like you kind of become this weird psychopath, and it's like, what can I possibly speculate on, and you kind of feel empty when you run out of ideas or you run out of money. So it's a real addiction that people have felt, I think, and I definitely feel it. And I felt it very early on. So the artwork is kind of more a story about my kind of feeling, that I think resonated with some people. I mean, I certainly think it's kind of that thing. I've used this kind of analogy. It was kind of not an analogy, but it's kind of a way of explaining it. Like you see the those cartoons in the sort of 40s with the Goofy has like dollar signs in his eyes, or Scrooge McDuck, or whoever it is, and it's like that, but it's .eth. Like you really look at the world differently when you think about this thing, and nobody's life's going to be the same after this. If this is successful, this will be the most pivotal moment in most people's lives, and so I think that's quite poignant, and I think it's quite interesting. And I always thought it was quite interesting that no one made any art about it. So yeah, that's one of the kind of places it comes from.
My
real
friend,
fast, you're
sorry for the
taking.
long pause atmosphere. I was just confirming. Did you see that it
I
landed?
did get it. Yeah, I just actually showed my wife. We were pretty stoked about that.
Dope. Yeah, I just commented on this chat in the lower right hand corner there. You can click on the little comments there and link out to the ENS Vision. And I'll just tell you, everyone's using ENS Vision. Everyone's using. Oh, that's beautiful, Weavy. By the way, beautiful. I'm retweeting yours. Everyone's using ENS Vision. Okay, it's just so easy. It's so you can see everything. It's just perfectly. It's made for us. The metadata refreshes. Okay, we don't have to deal with all this crap on OpenSea. And also, OpenSea was censoring our friends from Lebanon, which we just don't appreciate either. So, but it's fine. I mean, we still use OpenSea. Obviously, everyone uses OpenSea. But when it comes to ENS, I list on both, and I list a little cheaper on ENS Vision. So that's how I do it. And I should start listing on X2Y2 or wherever else. Also, it's good to list on many marketplaces. Some people are very dogmatic about the marketplace they use, so why not cater to everyone? But I think that edit Meta 8 with the hand up. So I just want to go right over to you, bro. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, just a quick one. Just dawned on me. I don't know if you thought about it or if you're able to, or surely someone here can, because amongst everyone here is pretty creative and able. What about like an Instagram or Snapchat filter with the .eth, and then you could get people to start posting in Web 2.
Dude, that's fucking genius.
I know.
Imagine that. But dude, you could have, that would be amazing. I mean, that's kind of the idea, isn't it? It's that you see everything through that window.
Correct.
Yeah, that's absolutely
and that's what I'm hearing from you, mate.
Yeah, no, that's just an extension of the idea, man. Obviously, I guess my response to that is that I'm trying to infiltrate the real world and the kind of the universe with this art. But for sure, it could go the way of you could have a filter, for example. That would be amazing.
It just blacks out everything else, but you see,
all colors out or whatever.
It overlays, like an AR filter.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Someone surely 2 clicks away would know how to do that. I think it's pretty straightforward from what I've gathered. I know in Procreate, there's an app called Procreate, and I think you can make snap filters with a plugin. But I haven't got to that yet. I don't use Snapchat, but Instagram as well. I don't know if you've been on recently on Instagram, but if you search the filters, like millions out there, but
Yeah,
it
and
could be a handy tool.
that's really an uncomplicated, pretty rudimentary thing, isn't it? I mean, you're just making a shape and
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah,
seeing the
fair.
stuff
Okay.
underneath it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be very easy. I think that would be cool. I mean, I guess, yeah, people could, I mean, I guess my perhaps maybe I could just elaborate a little bit on my kind of plan is to the kind of ETH on Art plan is to put is to ETH encase a bunch of different things in the physical world, but also kind of pair them with NFTs, and so the kind of the look, the aesthetic in the end may be quite I don't know, it might be that you could recognize it, let's say. I don't know, we'd see, but yeah, once that perhaps took up, maybe once that became a little bit more well known, then maybe you could go. I mean, I've thought about a lot of different ways you could do it. I actually thought that one thing early on, I was thinking it's cool that you can kind of recycle things and kind of play with the value of them. So like if you like, and one of the ideas that I've spoken about before, especially I spoke about with n0vax actually, was that I want to one day, like antiques is on my horizon, and I've been to a few antiques auctions, and I was thinking it'd be really cool if you could buy like a I don't know, a chair made in like the 1920s, and then you could like ETH encase it in a very professional way, but you're leaving like part of the item with like .eth underneath, and then you take it back to the auction and you see how much, like, you're playing around with the value of it, and you see if you could like pair it with an NFT. I mean, like, literally make a 3D model of it in Blender, and then you're pairing it with the chair in real life as well. So when someone buys it, they get both things. But then like seeing if it gained see encase
like
it literally in
perspex.
real life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could do that. But I was thinking of literally just.
You could put a stencil cutout of the .eth, so all they can see is the .eth. They have to get up right close to it. It's like looking into a little box, They're like, what's inside the box?
I was thinking just to. I mean, that certainly could work. I was thinking, literally do what I've done with the canvases, which is literally to paint over it, or not paint over it, but like anodize it in some way, and then like you're just leaving whatever wood it was or whatever metal it was underneath. You're just leaving that grain or whatever it is that you've left. Anyway, that's my plan for antiques, and I've also got that same plan for ceramics as well. I was thinking you could find some ceramics to do that with, but I haven't. Obviously, that's just a kind of a pie in the sky idea, but I want to do that eventually.
It's not pie in the sky with our contacts, man. That's the thing, is it's so easy, actually. It's crazy, but it actually, I mean, the physical part is the hardest part. You picking up the big old piece of furniture, like a big old armoire or something, is going to be the hardest part, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just love the idea of like going. I just thought it'd be really cool to go to like an auction house, because there are auction houses. I mean, where I'm from in England, there are auction houses everywhere, and they all just, there are some famous ones that kind of, they have their same auction every kind of Monday morning, and they sell like really amazing pieces of, either like furniture or just stuff that people have that they're just putting up for auction. And there's this cool subculture of people buying it for like really quite cheap, and finding like amazing stuff, and you can find the history behind it and all that, and it's all good stuff. So you could really do something with that, and then once you got it, it would be cool, because a lot of the bidding for some of these auctions is all online. So you could just point everyone towards that auction, pair it with NFT, and literally auction the NFT in real life as opposed to on Foundation. And just see what the auction house made of it, because of course they wouldn't know what was going on, but it would be really funny to like see if you could hijack an auction house with NFTs.
Yeah, I want to reset the room really quick for Slay and everyone in here. This is our guest of honor, ETH on Art creator Alex, who's kind of branding individually ETH on photos, ETH on canvas, and he's touching on right now is the idea of kind of like ETH on furniture, ETH on like objects, ETH on 3D. I've recently become really well connected with a homie from Amazing XR. We're kind of saddling up. I'm going to be marketing some 3D objects for him. I've got these on cyber metaverse spaces where I've imported some 3D objects that I had, and I'm displaying them in a very cool way. You guys should check that out at oncyber.io/skull cave. You can enter the skull cave. You can hear the music playing. You can see the knives and the guns. I've these cool 3D assets that 3D gun shop my homie made for me a while back. Like a golden Uzi with Tupac on it, just ridiculous, but it just looks so cool in the metaverse. And in the course of this, I was contacted, by this friend Marco in Austria and their amazing XR firm, and he's like, yeah, I've got this library of 3D assets. We have these, converts the 3D objects that I have into these AR experiences. So I put the Uzi on my table, my kitchen table, and I've got it's just any 3D object, you can have an immediate augmented experience with. You could put your 2D NFTs on an easel and look at that easel in your living room, just sitting there on an AR easel, or on your wall, and move it around and scale it. And so it's so accessible, and it's such great stuff. But their go-to-market strategy is like they're selling AR as a service. To us in USD or in fiat in euros, it's like, no, guys. So I've been consulting them. I'm like, we're not going to sell AR as a service, and we're not going to charge fiat. We're going to charge crypto, and we're going to sell 3D assets which have this functionality of this AR functionality. That's how we do this. And so because of that relationship, I've become aware of what they're able to do with some like fidgetizing and some how rapidly they're able to deploy AR experiences and things. So I think, Alex, that they are a really good partner potentially for whenever you are ready to go into that kind of like 3D asset stuff. They're very
wow.
skilled.
That sounds amazing. So essentially they have a 3D scanner, by the sounds of it, and that just creates an OBJ file or something. Is that about right, or is it more? It must be more complicated than that, maybe.
I could speculate. What the assets that I've seen right now, they appear to be very much like craftsman built, like this bicycle that's like looks like you could just get on it and ride it. All the sprockets and all the detail work is there. It's very high poly. And then there's some assets which are animated, like a unicorn dancing and things like that. So what I'm most into at this exact moment with regard to that is actually kind of not just the three-dimensionality of the objects and its collision detection and poly count and whatever else, but I'm actually interested in the wearables and the component of the interaction. Because even like this pool table asset that we're looking at, my friend from AltSpace, my friend has a $10,000 AltSpace he contracted with, can't remember the name of it, but it's this group that builds custom penthouses for the AltSpace platform. It's like a Microsoft-owned platform for VR. And so he brought me in there, and he was like, dude, look at what we're doing in here. Like, it's so much more immersive than Decentraland and all this other stuff. And in the process, we started talking about wearables and how he was like, oh, that's cool. I was showing him all these assets that we're going to be uploading, for OnCyber for very static metaverse experience, but a very cool and dynamic augmented reality experience with the assets. But what he's saying is, no, dude, you need assets that are more prepared for a more interactive metaverse experience. Like, you need a pool table that when you approach it, it'll rack up the balls, and you can actually use the physics to pull out a pool cue and break. And I was like, okay, like, is that possible already? And he's like, dude, let me show you. So basically, like, that's where I'm at right now, is that I'm speaking with Marco about how to kind of add a little bit more life, make it so you can jump on the bicycle potentially, because there are a few like basic params, you know what I mean, of wearables like that apply to Decentraland and voxels and whatever else, that if you can just kind of like understand how to encode the files with those, parameters, then they're more or less ready to go. So I'm really trying to crack that nut in the next couple of days and weeks, and I'm already exhibiting 3D art in there. And so it would be so cool, man. Really, really cool to get you guys hooked up. And in addition,
yeah, man,
yeah, go on.
Definitely. I was that's right up the alley that we talked about. And I think one of the things that you mentioned last time, which really is, it's got my head spinning a bit more, that we kind of came up with it as we were talking about it. But like, it's amazing that you could, like, going back to the antiques thing, but also the ceramics thing, but I guess more so the antiques thing, is like, you imagine a dude made something in like, and this kind of was also a historical NFT kind of vibe as well, but like, a dude makes something in, like, I don't know, the 1930s or something, and then we actually buy it on an auction. We make it into an NFT. We scan it in, and that shit then becomes kind of immortal. And the dude that made it never would, like, like, it's crazy to think about, like, how that, kind of interacts with the kind of whole.
If you have royalties set up in a contract or something,
yeah, dude, his
also,
family,
yeah,
yeah,
you can,
like the carpenter's family.
I was thinking about that as well, though, right? And not only for like people that hold it and resell it, but like, surely there's a way to make these, what n0vax is talking about, and essentially, I was listening to a space the other day about Web3 gaming, and the cutting edge, and from what I understand, it's that this term interoperable object or something like that. So you can take it from one. As long as it's on the same blockchain, you can take it from one platform, right? Just a blank vessel, basically. Like a ball, right? Imagine a sphere, and I can take it from on cyber into another 3D place, into another 3D place, and have different skins on it, whatever I want. So if you own that initial object, right, then that is the object, and then you can be taken with you, like loot in games, right? Or weapons. It's this interoperability. That's the next phase where I think, like, art is a massive key of that. Obviously, they've got to look good, right? Everything's going to need a flavor and a taste and this and that. But then not only is it across different platforms within one blockchain or whatever, but you can then sell it and stuff and get commissions. But what about this? What about if you had some way of tokenizing and getting data from how much people actually use it and engage with it, and have a tally upon that, like the most used, like, pool table in a mega on cyber place. Like, if it was the most used one, then maybe you get some kind of like royalty for that. You know what I mean? Or at least some statistics that go with it. So it's like, people then can trade it and say this was the most looked at, like, engaged with piece of fucking, pool table, and it just happened to have .eth on the skin on the belt.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like we're kind of. I mean, of course, I think one of the things that that's also sort of crossed my mind is that it's a little bit. I don't know. It feels a little bit crass in some way. To take something and to kind of stamp .eth over the top of it and then sort of speculate on its worth. But I think that was also kind of the point of the whole thing as well. So I think it's really interesting to do that, and I think that it might piss some people off, which I think is also quite interesting as well. So I think it's all up for grabs, basically, and I think that it's cool. It's so interesting in this space, especially sort of when you dive into sort of deeper metaverse sort of type thinking. Your brain, the mind kind of boggles a little bit, and you kind of, I mean, especially my mind, because I mean, I'm pretty technologically inept, so I don't really know what's possible and what's not possible. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I definitely think. I mean, it kind of the whole Damien Hirst thing, playing around with value of stuff is kind of, and this is before NFTs really is kind of where this all comes from, and so I think the limit is kind of limitless where this goes, for sure, and definitely I wanted originally for ETH Art to be like a real world plus, it's kind of a universe and metaverse type thing. And so I think, yeah, but when you dive into the metaverse part of it, it just is like, wow, you could really go a long way with it.
I'd like to give some flowers to to Meta 8 real quick, because I mean, I don't know how well acquainted the two of you are, but like Meta 8's been a homie. He's really incredible artist and surfer bro. He made some excellent stuff for the Bin Sick project, the board ENS board ENS Yacht Club, and then he also just like from a design perspective, the guy's just getting into some stuff. I mean, check out what he's doing with these ETH emoji pixel art representations. Like,
this is actually, I think this is the first time we've met, dude. I don't think we've spoken before. Or perhaps maybe we did back a while back.
Maybe a month or
but
so. I remember seeing you. Yeah.
No, it's so funny that Nick Johnson thing, because I'm just I'm thinking, like, it's so funny what he what he values, but also like because he's so polarizing. Like, he's such an interesting player in this whole thing, and I think it's really interesting that Vitalik has now become this kind of enemy of the state kind of thing. Sorry, not enemy of the state. He's become the state, and it's kind of like people are kind of turning on everyone, and there's always this kind of weird question about Nick and who he is, and I think people are always strange and different, and we just happen to have two very powerful people who are kind of their own people, and that's awesome, I think. But I think Nick can sometimes go for stuff that's like a bit off the wall and a bit wacky, because he's a bit wacky sometimes. And I think that's what makes him quite interesting. And actually, just when he bought his canvas from me, I mean, it was like, it couldn't have been more of a kind of moonshot kind of thing, and it just was like, he was like, yeah, hi, yeah, I'd like one, yeah, great. I was just like, fuck, okay. Jesus, like, it was like the second thing I'd sold, a second NFT I'd ever sold, and it's just this dude. It's like invented Ethereum name service. And it's just going like, okay, all right, well, I guess it's probably a good idea then, but I don't know, maybe it's not. I still don't know. So yeah, that's he. I mean, but yeah, I think he would. Dude, did he? So you tweeted that thing to him? Did he respond?
He liked it, but let's go. That's a response. But then from here, who knows? Like, so I am gonna. I tried to ENS vary it to him as well, like n0vax is saying, through the website, but the UI of the website didn't like it, and so the way these come up, it didn't let me select it from a drop down box, because they're like about 3,500 characters plus some emojis, and anyway, but I will get it to him eventually. But so far he hasn't formally, let's say, made a comment on it, but that's fine. I think he's busy or whatever, but anyway.
I just think he is probably busy.
I'm not sending it to anyone else. I'm not trying to extort it for him. You know what I mean? It's just like this is how I see it. And I like not throwing it in his face, but again, open up that question to like, look at this baby you made. Look what we've made of your baby. You know what I mean? It's like, you put shit out there, and people will take it to the nth degree, right?
I think it's amazing how much if you create something and something that is perhaps so sort of suddenly kind of taken up by so many people and suddenly adopted by whatever it is now. We don't really know the number, but we know it's probably over 200,000, 300,000 people, individuals at least. I mean, I think what is it now? Like maybe 600,000 individual wallets. I mean, I don't know whether that means.
I wish I knew where to grab that stat to just update everyone on it daily. Does anyone have a good source for just grabbing that information?
I think it's hard to tell to tell what that would be. I mean, if it's 600,000 individual wallets, that might mean it's 100,000 people. Which it sounds not that many really. It's got to be more than that. I don't know. If anyone knows, let us know.
It might be on the main ENS website if you look.
No, they won't. But how could they quantify it? We know how many wallets there is. We know how many individual wallets there are, but we don't know how many people that means.
Yeah, we just kind of probably account for it being somewhere between, I would say maybe like half of that number, whatever the total wallet numbers is probably between half and 3/4 or something. It's a really tough one to get precision on, obviously. But
well, I mean, as a poll, how many wallets do you have? I mean, I have 2.
Yeah, so, I have at least 3.
So I think, it's probably 100,000 people, which is pretty low. That's like a small town.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who are one wallet.
Can I say something? In the words of the great Tyrion Lannister. Hold on. Yes, mate. Yes. Okay, that one. Sorry, I'm putting a Band-Aid on my son's toe at the same time. So this is true multitasking.
Wall quoting Tyrion Lannister, no doubt.
Yeah, Tyrion Lannister. I think he said it. No, it might have been the spider. Anyway, something from Game of Thrones. Even a short man can cast a very large shadow, or something like that. So, like, even though there's not numbers there, it's like, it's the ethos behind it, and also like the amount of money that's being traded within that ecosystem, right? Like, and the whales, right? So, and go back to even go further than that, and think about bloody the movie 300. There's only 300 guys, but they held back like the whole empire, and marked their place in history, but way before the blockchain, So that was that was with 300 guys, right? There's if there's 300,000,
yeah.
I think we'll make
but
it.
I don't think I don't think it. I don't think it means. I'm not trying to sort of diminish the power of ENS, but I just think it's maybe it's less than we think, perhaps. People, individuals, but that doesn't mean that people don't know about it outside of it. I mean, we've probably all been telling our fucking mum, dad, daughter, and dog about ENS since months ago, and they all know about it. They're not holders, so that's also an important point, I think. The exposure of ENS.
Alex, this is actually really interesting. See the PFP I'm rocking today, guys? Non-fungible art. This is really to do with what you're talking about. This is non-fungible art correctly identified that there's a huge gap there with not just ENS, but like crypto and NFT adoption in general, right? And that's necessary to create the IRL onboarding experience. That doesn't really exist. There's nowhere that you go and you say, oh, I went there, I got my crypto wallet, and I got crypto education, both cultural and technical. And I got drunk and had a good time and got a discount on food and whatever in Las Vegas. So that others, and Snoop Dogg's a project partner. Okay, I mean that adds a lot of value.
But I mean that I think that's definitely part of the reason I did this in the first place. I mean, I think that we need to somehow break into the art world, in the physical art world, and annoy people and make really, make apparently very minimal stuff seem valuable. And then people will start listening because they'll start questioning it. So I think being controversial in the right way is also part of this project.
Well, you're going to absolutely the aesthetic. I've seen your pieces hanging in the On Cyber station for the B card community, in Station 2, or maybe it was GM Coffee. And I have one of your pieces hanging in my NFT museum at oncyber.io/historical NFTs. And I love, the way that they look in displayed, curated spaces, and in augmented especially, they look really good. So, especially when you get into like the nice little patina on them and stuff, it's like it brings a new, different kind of texture and dimension, and the light qualities are very, very cool to see applied to your work.
Yeah, I saw because 008 had it in the. I've been really bad at going to the business card lounge, but there was one. He had it in one place and he moved it, and I saw it in the other place he moved it to. And I think the good thing about it is exactly what it is, miles away from it. I mean, because you can see it. So the great thing about this art is that it means I mean, you understand what it means on some kind of level, even if you're 20 virtual meters away from it. So I think that part of it is also nice.
Truth. I saw it immediately from across the room, and I was there with a friend. And I said, "Oh, look!" And I came and I said, "Show!" I wanted to show them your art. I said, "Look at this," and I wanted to brag. I got one. Yeah, it's a great conversation, and for the ENS maximalists like me, who we love the ENS Maxis. Okay, don't get it wrong. ENS Maxis is cool. It's cool art. It's a cool project. It's a cool PFP. It's a 10K. It's not bespoke. All the art culture community is never going to endorse ENS Maxis as having that meritocratic value in the art community. Potentially not going to happen. But I love the ENS Maxis art. But ENS itself can actually really benefit. Our community can really benefit by having ENS displayed in those environments. So I think it's really wise. And that's why I was bringing up NFA, because NFA today, I bought my NFA gold pass minting today. I'm a project partner. Go to nonfungibleart.io and look at the team, and you'll see my Skull PFP there, right next to Snoop Dogg as project advisors. And we're the real deal, guys. I mean, it's like legit. I promise you. And so the compound, the location in Las Vegas, has not only immersive gallery, but also immersive experiences. Okay, so there's two separate things there that you get access to with your pass and everything. So what I'm trying to do here is get Meta 8 and ETH Art a seat at that table. And there are some restrictions. I don't know exactly what it's all about. Like, we got to have a certain number of holders who buy passes and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a membership deal where the community gets amplified benefit if they have more of people from that community who are NFA pass holders. My NFA pass mint today was like 0.13, 0.15 or something like that. So it's a couple $100, 150 or something. And I'm not just trying to shill NFA, even though I think basically what I'm saying is, I think the foot traffic that NFA is going to see at the compound over the next months, the next year and two, is going to be so overwhelming. And they have project partners are MetaMask. Okay, project partners. They've been on the phone with Furion from ENS Vision, getting all the subs dialed in. I own their I own their domain nfapass.eth. So I registered it for them months ago. So anyway, we have a connection there, is what I'm trying to say. I have a connection there. I have good graces in the ears of Ronnie Morel and Sydney Richland and all the homies there. And so I actually just left co-hosting on that stage to come over here and host this. And those guys really could be a big stepping stone for us to put the .eth aesthetic that you're defining in front of people on foot while they're also simultaneously receiving their first .eth. Can you imagine the power of that? They're now visually associating the iconic ETH art aesthetic and some of the art from Meta 8, which is big. It's just balling. The Nick and the apes, this stuff that is truly, this is ENS art. If there's art on ENS, this is it. The two of you have done it. So yeah. I think, we both need a seat with them.
Yeah, definitely. I think also, the thing that's, I guess, most important and most interesting is like, and I guess the power of ENS, if I could say it in air quotes without sounding too cheesy, is this is a thing where we're all here to support each other. We're not rivals in any way, and we're all kind of just wanting to make each other better for the sake of kind of a common cause, which is really interesting. And it is, truly, it's not really shared by another type of community, as far as I know, in the sort of NFT verse or the metaverse. So I think it's we're going to be successful if we just get down and make sure that what we're producing is quality. And I was actually going to say, Weavy, are you able to talk, or are you just chilling? What are you doing? Because I just wanted to ask, someone who has one in their house, like a picture of .eth in their house, like physically, like how it feels and how you're feeling with it, how you're sort of getting along with having it, like a canvas of it in your house. If you're not, don't worry, you can't talk, no worries. I'm also, like, any other questions, by the way, guys, I'm happy to
All good, brother. Happy to answer any questions. Yeah, feel free. Yeah, just happy to be vibing out, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to it's great to hear from you. I mean, I just wanted to sort of like know, like, because I've always thought this thing of like, imagine waking up and there's a .eth like staring you in the face, like it's a picture that says .eth. Like, how does that feel? Like, does it make you feel like, does it motivate you to do more stuff in ENS, or does it make you feel like, I hope this is good? Or, I mean, like, how does it make you feel looking at it? Because I haven't really asked that question of anyone who bought one yet, and you happen to be here, so I thought, what do you feel like?
So, like, I'm an engineer at heart, and I converted to Ethereum. I understood Ethereum pretty early on. I was in crypto in 2017, but I still haven't made it yet. So, I'm still here. I'm still doing my thing, grafting away. So, as an engineer, like, I was off this. I was an XRP maxi actually. And if you're an XRP maxi, you are anti-Ethereum in every possible way. And it was kind of, I think, late 21. I started working in Web3 for a MMORPG play and earn game company. And it was really from the start of that journey that I started to kind of open my mind to be not a maxi in any way, shape, or form towards one narrative, and kind of learn and absorb Ethereum and understand that there's so much functionality that Ethereum at its core brings to the ecosystem. And I kind of fell in love with smart contracts. And it was really from there on out that, again, as an engineer at heart, when I saw your piece, it was kind of, yeah, for me, I see the ecosystem fully fledged in the ETH network, but also like I'm experimenting and looking at other networks, Tez, Solana, and what have you. But I still think ETH will be the parent and the rest will be the siblings. So yeah, owning your piece, it's sitting right behind me in my kind of office studio setup. It's there every day. I know my purpose, and recently I've built ETH side gallery, and it's just a template that I'm using to kind of showcase NFT artworks and collections and things that I curate. But at the same time, it's going to be a gallery and code base that I share with people in the community so they can adapt the links and text and have their own gallery, but really at a premium level. So yeah, owning your artwork I was humbled to be early enough, number one. Number two, it kind of fits with my DNA and fits with my kind of engineering background mindset. So yeah, I'm really kind of humbled to be part of the journey.
Well, it's very kind words, man. And yeah, I mean, let's grow it. And I think the simplicity of that. I think one thing that's quite important, perhaps for people to know, is that I'm not really, I'm kind of an illustrator, kind of a, I like to draw literal things, and I don't really like abstract stuff too much. And I think that, this project is totally minimal, and it's, it's
maybe just to add to that flow, there was, I think, when your artwork came to fruition and I was able to kind of discover it amongst obviously the many great people that I'm following, it kind of brought some peacefulness and tranquility to what was quite a chaotic environment that we're in. Not even every day, every frigging minute of the day, things can get, quite volatile on many different levels. So having something so peaceful, simple, yet again, kind of a reflection of the chaos that we're in. It's a nice distraction away from all that noise, and kind of again helps me focus a little bit and not get FOMO in a lot of shit right now. So yeah, I thought that you added quite a nice vibe on that.
Yeah, I think that's also definitely that was part of the kind of the marketing of it. When I mean, I didn't really market it. I just took some pictures of the first one I did. But yeah, definitely I wanted to like exclude everything and make it like a serene thing. That was actually, I mean, the first kind of I did like a little video of the first one I did, and that was the first one that when Sean Murray bought one, the first one. He saw that video. It was just like I put the first one in a bush.
It was actually even the video that you created was almost creating your lore as to kind of the whole story and kind of I'd call you a craftsman, a master craftsman. So like you really showed how much care and professionalism you take in your craft, and that was actually a big selling factor for me. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I think also like you know, I mean, I just like the idea of space, and I think that space is incredibly peaceful, like you touched upon, and you know, I'm actually now in a really interesting space in terms of sort of visually. So I think I'm going to do like I've got one more canvas to send that's going to arrive here. The buyers of the last three have been incredibly patient with me because I've been moving, but I've moved to this incredibly sort of I don't know, peaceful, cool place on the coast of Spain. So I'm gonna take a few pictures with their canvases before I send them. I'm actually sending out. Dr. Boob got his just at the end of August, so I'm standing about to send his tomorrow morning to him. I might take a little picture of it in front of the sea.
He'll be over the moon with that, I tell you. I mean, I've been hearing the complaints no end publicly. You and your Ethon canvas. So like
Yeah.
he'll be extremely happy about it.
He's been very you know, he's been very, very patient and very, very kind. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I might take him a little picture of it just next to the sea because it's super nice just to have like this kind of, you know, the thing about the art, I guess, is also that like within the .eth and like the actual canvas underneath, like the artwork is incredibly detailed and you know, colorful and sort of.
I think there was one unusual surprise for me as kind of the first, I'd say, really official piece of physical artwork that I've ever collected in my life. So that was kind of an honor in itself, but the certification. So this was kind of huge. So the unraveling experience was phenomenal. Like it came pristine, you know, everything was perfect. And then when I saw the certificate of the artwork and kind of how you've presented it, again, amazing.
Yeah, so I actually, I mean, I'd never sold any like NFTs or anything before, but I was doing you know, illustration for companies and for different people before, so I kind of thought it would be nice to make sure, let's say, that the artwork, the physical artwork, was like, you know, sort of like, let's say, genuine and you know, was kind of authentic in a certain way. So I kind of did a bit of research, and the authentication certificates I've got are from a company in France that do authentic. They sort of, I mean, they basically guarantee authenticity, which I was looking for. I wanted to try and, I mean, obviously people can fake stuff all the time, but I've tried to make it so that the canvases don't have like, it'd be very hard to sort of to copy and paste if you had the NFT. So yeah, I mean, the certificate is like is from a company who do that sort of thing, and they're quite professional, and they're a kind of third party, let's say, and so hopefully it sort of it works. I mean, I've got a very interesting thing down the line will be that people like you, or everyone who buys a piece of ETH on Art will have an NFT and a physical item, and it'll be interesting to see what people want to do with that. I haven't, I don't put any parameters on it. I'm giving you two things. I'm giving you an NFT and I'm giving you a piece of art. So a piece of physical art. So it's kind of up to you what you do with it. Obviously, I think if people transfer the physical piece of art, they may want to also give the NFT, because that may kind of verify in a certain way. But I'm kind of interested to leave that open. n0vax, what were you going to say?
Oh, thank you. I wanted to invite everyone here to just kind of, ask away any questions that you might have. Welcome to Shruggy Guy, light skin tone brunette, Shruggy Guy.eth. That is a grail and a very cool single ETH emoji. And I wanted to say to everyone in the room that part of what you're describing with the 3D assets, with the vision for the digitization of classic furniture and things, antique furniture, such an incredible vision with that, especially when you combine it with the ability with the .eth window and your color palette. And what Weezy is saying about the serenity of the color palette that you've selected and the names that you've selected for those colors, and that's a big part of why the aesthetic works and how it will continue to work as it's applied across various different medium. And so based on that, I'm very excited about an augmented experience that would take a multi-asset ready, basically the substrate, the three-dimensional asset model is there in a folder, in a centralized repository, and hopefully better than that, hopefully in a decentralized way, fully on chain, at some point. But in the interim, we have a kind of a solution where we can definitely fork out a substrate in different qualities, but also potentially colors or the RGBs for your color palette that you've defined, and allow the user to choose, oh, do they want the DGen white, or are they going for the WAGMI blue, or what have you? And that would be a really fun thing to be able to oscillate between the different colors within your metaverse ready, antique furniture. And I want to talk about the demand.
That would be amazing, dude. That's a super technical idea.
It sounds impossible, but it's like, talk to Marco, dude, and then give him 30 minutes to go and execute and give it back to you. And you're like, okay, so nothing's impossible for you guys. They got a lot of stuff going, and I don't know. They're just bright people, I guess. They've made it successfully on their e-commerce business, so that's what enables them to do this. So they're those kind of people. They just already made it, and they just love VR. They love AR rather. But no, I have this vision for the demand. The demand is the most important thing. You can't push a rope, you know what I mean? So we're trying to figure out how to create the demand, how to discover the demand. Where is it going to emerge organically? And I think I found it because I want it. I found it personally, what I desire, I went into on cyberspace as I started curating all my NFTs. That's great. But then after a little while, I said, ooh, it'd be fun to pull a 3D asset in here. Oh, I've got one. Can I do it? Oh, look, I can. Oh, wow. And then I started saying, oh, I want specific three-dimensional assets, and I have a real need for them. I have an appetite for them. And not only just the assets themselves, but the environment, the macro environment as well. I want a custom environment, and I want the tools to be able to build my own custom environment in a modular way. And so what I proposed to XR is that we build a very flexible, dynamic substrate called just substrate, a space called substrate, just a big flat plane, huge flat plane, take like zero memory, be like a 10 megabyte file. And then you just spam frames all over it. So you can have up to 300 frames or something on that big substrate file that has, it's just it's empty. But the beauty of it would be that we would pair it with the tokenization of all of these three-dimensional assets, furniture, walls, and everything. so that instead of just getting like a pre-made on cyber, and you're like, okay, that's nice, I got my pre-made on cyber, you're getting like this flat, this empty room where it's like, if you want to put something in it, you have to buy a little asset for like $1, and instead of spending $100 or more for like, a pre-made space that's probably, cool and all done for you, you could spend like $5 on the substrate and then $1 on everything you want to put in it. And at the end of the day, you've spent a little bit less and you've made your own custom thing. So that's the sort of kind of vision that I've been conveying to them, and that all of those assets that we bring in will have AR experience associated with them, and that they'll be texture map with the VR, with the QR code to the augmented experience as well. So this is the vision. I have it already hooked up inside of Skull Cave. If you go to oncyber.io/Skull Cave, you'll be able to go down. You could find the QR code. You do that on desktop, and then use your mobile phone to scan the desktop on cyber QR code, and it'll pop up the VR experience, the AR experience. So you could put the Uzi in your kitchen, put the Uzi on your dinner table, or whatever you want to do with it. Just nothing illegal, please. It's a golden Uzi with Tupac on it. It's a decorative piece only. But when it comes to this, like, I see now, do you understand where the vision for me is that I think you have a market for digitizing 3D assets that are ETH encased. And I think if you build that product, it'll allow you to do the bespoke kind of thing you want and still have the volume and the economics, the market capitalization per asset. So in other words, let's say you digitize you save what would otherwise be doomed to eventually burn in a fire or rot, a beautiful series furniture, and you digitize it perfectly, immaculately, and you ETH encase it, and maybe you're a real generous guy and you leave the option to be unencased as well, the blank one, okay, so that people could see the true original piece, but then also put all the frames. Maybe you're purist and you say no, never. That's on you. But the idea is that you would be saving all these relics, and then what are you going to mint a one of one? Everything you save, you're going to do all that work? I don't think so. And then I don't think people get to appreciate it as much. You need to make 100 of everything that you digitize, and it'll have a little small market cap, but people will say, oh, that's Alex's, that's ETH on our, he only makes 742 or whatever your magic number is, and I want one. And then they support a higher price, and everything you do will have that level of quality and bespoke to it. And so you could define the size and the price in order to accommodate that market. And I'm telling you, I'm a buyer. We're buyers. You got buyers in this room who want that.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. I mean, it's I think that's perfect. I mean, what I would say, I think I have to be conservative and a realist all the time, and I do like to think about these things. The potential of ideas, definitely. I think what I need to do is get ETH on photos done, and I need to get it out there, and I need to get more eyeballs on this aesthetic and this idea, and then I can start to get super ambitious. I mean, of course we can talk about it. I love it. But like, I really want to get this next thing done. Like, I see it like that. ETH on Canvas was 9, ETH on Photos is 32. ETH on Art is a collection that may be more than 1,000, but probably not that many more than 1,000. So, the other things I've got my eyes on are like also bespoke things. And then when I've got 3 or 4 different series within the collection done, I'll probably have a lot more eyeballs on the idea, and probably the value of things will be a bit more, and I'll probably have a bit more cash to play around with, and things can get a bit more fancy. But yeah, I mean, I think at the moment I've just got to get ETH on Photos done in a very nice, professional way.
Should we backpedal that and just really stick on ETH on Photos for a moment and make sure that you're an amazing thinker, and your ideas are fantastic, and actually you're helping me flesh out some ideas as we go. I just want to get ETH on Photos into the into the ether. Excuse the shit pun, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it matters that that's done, and that's
in front of people, like first, and then when that's done, then we can, But anyway, look, the good thing is that I haven't, ETH on Photos is still a month or so away, and I'm still fleshing things out with it. So, but part of this whole space and part of these kinds of conversations is like, fuck, I think it's a good idea. So where could it go? And it could go many places. We've gone, into the metaverse and then out of the metaverse, and then. So it's super cool that people resonate with the idea at least. So yeah, I'm just I'm excited to get ETH on Photos done. And I'm also interested to hear what people have to say. So if anyone has any questions or any any thoughts about whether ETH on Photos sounds like something you would go for as a collectible, or sorry, not a collectible, as a piece of artwork, go ahead.
-9 atmosphere. You guys want to join the convo? Stable. We've got a lot of people up here, so come on in, pile in.
Hey, how's everyone doing? I just wanted to say, hey, n0vax, thanks for hosting this space. ETH on Art, it's a pleasure hearing about your project and everything you're doing. I'm probably going to end up supporting it down the line, and I'm looking forward to seeing this all over the world. Not just a local thing. It's going to be awesome whenever I walk into a random place and they have a .eth on art on the wall. So keep up everything you're doing. I'm going to head out because I got some stuff to take care of. But thank you, n0vax. I learned so much in this space. And have a good time, everyone.
My guy, we love you.
Thanks for your support.
-9 is part of the Nega10 club. Just gonna let you know, if you check out my description, I got -1, -0. I acquired -8 from -0, and I gifted it to Ron, Crypto Bull Ron. So we're forming a cartel. It's a very elite crew. We actually listed some for kind of cheap for our homies to pick up. They hesitated for a moment, and in the interim, somebody infiltrated the cartel. They scooped those listings up. And so we do have a few very serious degens who strong-armed their way into the Nega10 club. But aside from that, we are very exclusive. And we're just having a really fun time just joking with it. It's the only way to represent a real single-digit number on the blockchain. Like 0-1 doesn't count. It's not a 1 is a real number, but you can't register that. -1 in this way as ETH emoji is the only way to do it. So the Nega10 from -0 to -9 represent the true and only way to have a negative or a single digit real number on the blockchain on ENS. So let's go Nega10 homies for life. I think our floor price is about I'm pretty sure it's going to be about 100. Yeah, it just went from half an ETH right up to 100 just yesterday. So yeah, you got it. If you didn't get in the Nega10 now, you're missing the boat. It's fun. There's things like that. It's like, it's just, and you know what? It feels good to have Crypto Bull Ron point at you and say, n0vax, I don't know whether you're some kind of savant of emoji registrations, but this is a true grail. I'm just like, if Crypto Bull Ron's saying that to me, I'm like, I quit. I probably have like $1 million bag. I shouldn't sell anything. Just register him out and walk away. Not really, but he did say that, and that was flattering.
I'm sure it's $1 million sale if you just register it for like 5 years.
Yeah, and or just wash sale it to yourself, 1,000 times, like has been going on. Coldy was asking recently about the purity of the sales metrics and data, and I was like, it's pretty good. Like, somebody might blow up to 24-hour volume on a day, but generally, it's hard to game that too much. And that's not what those people are after anyway. They're after their little perks from X2Y2 or trading competitions. It's usually just asinine, benign stuff. People don't really understand that part of it either. But I just want to tell you guys, it's a real honor and privilege to have, friends and, colleagues, amigos, just Metaverse trekkers who are similarly appreciating the rarity in some of the ETH registrations, or appreciating the culture around the ENS Maxis PFP project, who are seeing the real importance of putting this level of thoughtful art that's just a nice, pleasing aesthetic, that it's just elegant, and putting this in the right place in the right way, and associating it with this movement, with this crazy cultural phenomena, we all see something through the .eth. We all see some opportunity. A lot of us have a circumstance in life that made it, challenging for us to do something else, or made it, but we're selected a selection bias to be looking for these these leverage plays, these big opportunities that we might be able to produce from very little investment. This is kind of the ultimate expression of the hope of the future, the unseen, the anticipation of something yet to come. Every domain is a potential empire to be built upon, and so everything that you see through the .eth window. I wanted to just comment on the issue, the nomenclature, the semantic nuance of a window versus a mirror. And the .eth window is really, we're looking out through the window, and there's so much possibility there. And I think what Meta 8 created with the pixel art expressions of Nick.eth, that pixel art representation with the emojis on his long pixel art emoji registrations, which are truly fantastic. I think that is almost like the mirror. That's like Nick.eth created this thing, ENS registrations, and now the thing is like showing him himself back in it. And I'm sure that maybe there's a reason he didn't comment. It probably, like, on some level, it's probably creepy to see yourself manifested in your creation. And maybe you'll have a similar situation too, Alex, where eventually you'll see like a picture of you, of yourself, that'll have gotten in Ethan case, or you'll.
But is the picture of Nick.eth is a CryptoPunk, right?
Yeah, it is though, isn't it?
So that's not actually him.
Looks like him. Okay. Because I wasn't sure
so,
if Smart was like
someone else has drawn that, and it's just an impression of him. We think about Nick.eth as that avatar. That just that's testament to NFTs, isn't it?
Well, that is actually, because I just assume that like that is exactly what he looks like in real life.
Yeah, he's got a square head.
Yeah, square head. Don't tell me he doesn't have those little emoji eyeballs.
I think he's got grey hair. I think it's probably, it's not far away from what he looks like. But I think that he just picked a punk that looked like him, right? Is that? Maybe I'm wrong.
We got to get the story on the Nick.eth punk now. That's just absolutely got to happen. So I just, me personally, I don't like the brown facial hair punks, because they just kind of, I don't know, they just look like chocolate stains on the mouth or something to me. They just kind of don't read right. I think like the color of the facial hair reads a little bit better when it's darker, and so I'm like kind of biased towards like the really like darker colored beards, but that's a little obscure preference. I wonder if other people feel that way. They just kind of looks like they got like you got a smudge of some poo on your face or something with the brown mustache, especially my punks voxels with the brown mustache. I'm always like, this just doesn't look right. What up, Meta 8?
Hey guys. Had some IRL commitments just there. Manic morning, trying to sort the kids out. So yeah, and I also take care of my own personal hygiene. I had this thing called shower. I had a shower. I got ready. I cleaned my teeth, so I'm all good. I'm driving to work. Yeah.
You're good for another week.
And
or
you
two.
Bought a 5-digit.
Yeah, icked into a 5-digit real quick on your way to work.
Yeah.
On mobile.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like that's a daily thing to do now. Yeah. I'm looking at 5 digits fucking every fucking hour.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Currency of our time, you guys. The liquidity is there.
Yeah, I reckon it's the next big TV show will be not like that Gogglebox or whatever. It'll be like filming people watching the ENS sales bot, and they're going fuck, in their living rooms. There'll be like the TV channel will be called ETH. So there you go, go with it, guys. There's that $1 billion idea for someone. I'm sure.
I'm sure ETH is registered.
I'm
surely.
Probably sure too, but yeah. But this whole I think what we're trying to do, and I'm stoked to have met you here and had a chance to speak to you. Ethan, what's your name? Sorry, I hate
I'm
Alex. I call you Alex. I'm James. Anyway, up to you, man. But yeah, it's just shaking up, not trying to ruffle feathers and annoy people, piss people off, but just put a question mark on what is what's acceptable and what is new and this and that. But for example, I go back to that Gogglebox thing. that show, I don't watch it, but I'm pretty sure billions of people or millions of people do. And if you presented that, if you pitched that to someone in a boardroom, they'd be like, what the fuck? You know, like, this will never catch on. And then suddenly, like, here we are, 10 years later, we're watching people watching TV, you know, like.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, Gogglebox is Gogglebox. Sorry, is the epitome of perfect marketing and perfect thoughtful research behind who your clients are. Who your target market is. You know, people are bored at a certain time of night. All they want to do. If you don't know this, n0vax, sorry, there's a show in the UK called Gogglebox, which is people watching TV, and you're watching them watch TV, and you don't. I mean, it's nuts.
But
And
these people
they're watching the most popular show. And then you're watching their reaction to the TV, and they're like, oh, you know, they're talking to each other about it, and they're like, oh, fucking hell, I can't believe that happened, and you're like, and it's actually really it's actually really good to watch.
It's the characters they
really,
build and the story
sadly.
arc. These guys get like embossed in like you know, let's say a character type. You know, you might have your rough nuts, you might have your old couple that have been married for 50 years. You know, and they watch the same.
Wait, are there multiple channels of this show? I'm getting sick of.
Dude, this is absolutely amazing. So this, I mean, it's been I guess it's been. I don't know how long it's been going for. It's probably about 10 years.
Yeah,
But I think there was also something called Flipside TV before that. But basically, you've got it's like a documentary of, like, I guess 10 different families or just couples or whatever, and they're watching a program, and the camera is filming their reaction to the program. So it's like they're watching, you know, I don't even know what they're watching sometimes. It's just like they'll watch Game of Thrones or something, and then it'll be like, oh, I knew it was him. And then they'll all talk to each other. Oh, fuck. You know, just like you would.
But
Do you hear the audio of the show though, or no?
Sometimes.
I think they play like the big moment on the show, and then, you know, you see their reaction. You know, reaction videos on YouTube are quite common. So it comes from that, you know, that family of
how did we get
entertainment.
On this? Back us
because what he was saying is that, you know, you don't know whether something's good until it hits you in the face. And like the funny thing about Gogglebox is that shit tons of people watch it, and nobody knows why they watch it. They just watch it because it's just what you want to watch at that time. So the point is that what he's saying is that marketing has funny ways of finding huge amounts of audience, and people don't know what they want until they get it. And so, you know, that's kind of the idea behind perhaps both of our eyes, that, you know, you know, you don't know what art. None of us really know what art means or what art is, and we just need someone to show us what it is sometimes. And within the .eth world, we certainly, you know, it's bizarre to me and perhaps to you as well, that, you know, we're sat here in the middle of what is essentially supposed to be an artistic endeavor, which is NFTs, and yet we are dealing in the only thing that is in NFTs that isn't artistic, which is domain names. So, you know, it's a bit of a weird, you know, a strange situation. So, shouldn't someone be making art about that? And then perhaps that's the question.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly right. And it's like that opposing things that shouldn't go, like an oxymoron, you know, like, yeah, you know, that term of two words that are joined together that shouldn't really work together, but they actually make perfect sense, you know, like happily married, for example. But like, they no, that's, you know, like it was
on sequitur.
Yeah, there's all these different things in terms of like art and NFTs and let's say crypto, right? And art. they in a sense are two very opposing like mediums, right? So it's now like the communication layer between the two needs to somehow fuse and bond, and I think it's essentially what .eth and Ethereum, the Ethereum named service, the protocol that it is, the building work, the framework, has managed to allow me as an artist to use that as my canvas, essentially, and you could go into that like from a coding aspect or whatever. There's code is art, right? I don't know too much about it, but I've listened to multiple Lex Friedman podcasts, and he has all these coders in there, and he's talking about these guys and how they see the world as code and this and that. And to me, that is art, right? It's a language, but from a visual point of view, and the masses and the mass adoption, art and visual things, cave paintings, for example, that we read them 5,000 years later, 10,000 years later, and we know perfect sense that these guys. Do you see that post by Joe Rogan the other day on his Instagram? He reposted someone else's, and it was just a simple cave painting, and he goes, "Yeah, still to date they haven't found any cave paintings of salads." And it was like left it at that. It was like, yeah, perfect, So like that's another context. But essentially, yeah, we with art, what we've done here and what we're trying to do, just so happens we're early, and that's interesting, right? And it's a talking point. So who knows? Yeah, I'm all for questions and yeah, just paving the way, right?
Yeah, man. I think we should definitely join up as much as possible, man. We should do another one of these together because I think we're kind of on the same.
I'd love that.
Yeah, we're on the same kind of, let's say, vibe, as it were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, I think one of the other interesting things that we've tapped into as well, which is incredibly, I don't know, lucky of us perhaps, or maybe just something that we realise is that like the only people who perhaps don't profess to know anything about art in the NFT space are people who buy domain names as well. So it's almost like a perfect storm. So you can sort of say to them, "Look, hey mate, this is art," and they go, "Shit, it looks good to me."
But the other thing,
which is totally awful thing to say, but But honestly, I mean, I'm also one of those people. I mean, I'm not really an artist. I'm just a person who likes to draw literal things. So if you showed me a weird blue square or a strange painting or something abstract, I'd probably say I don't know what that means because it doesn't mean anything to me literally.
You're forgetting that. I think, look, honestly, hand on heart, I really do believe every human being on Earth with a brain and essentially everyone is an artist, right? But we grow up in a society generally that pushes art to one side, tells you it's not valuable, right? This is more valuable, and it often is. Let's say from a cave painting point of view, like the most valuable thing to have done back then would have been to be a hunter and gatherer, this and that. But contextually, in today's day and age, if you've got you're born and you go to preschool and kindy, you get every day you just make art, you just do hand paintings, this and that. But as you grow up, we're tailored into this world where math and everything's more important. You got to do your 3 R's: read and write and arithmetic, and art's last. But finally, I feel like it's interesting too. My wife's a teacher, primary school teacher, and I've picked up on bits and pieces of the styles of teaching and stuff. But they realised after 20 years of teaching all this good technology stuff to kids, they're getting great grades and this and that. But suddenly they can't communicate what they want. They get out of high school and they're like, yeah, I know what I've got in my head, but I can't display it. I can't draw this shit. I can't, So this whole notion of, have you heard of STEAM and STEM learning? STEM learning is what they used to do, and now STEAM, it's the same thing. But yeah, but they.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a qualified teacher. Yeah,
oh,
so
wow.
I'm hoping to perhaps not do that for a while now, but yeah, I know about STEAM and STEM, and I studied education, and it's like there's a new thing every 5 years that is just like the next thing, and of course that then thing gets chucked out the window, and it's another thing that is just it's kind of hopeless in the end.
But with NFTs, can it's people I've spoke to in the last 18 months since I've been diving into it. It's ranged from your hardcore like bankers and crypto guys. Literally, just all they're worried about is money and bags and this and that at the end of the day. But it's been a really interesting process where some of these guys have actually gone, well, what do you know? I can do art. I can appreciate art. And being around it is like reignited like a flame that was like squashed or quashed back in once they left high school or even before, right? Because they were
Well, I think I don't think it's even a flame, dude. I think that the problem historically is that only the cream of the crop of the cream of the crop and the lucky people are artists, and then even amongst them, it's about who you know, whether you're going to be successful, and that's been true throughout the history of art. So the point now is that exactly the line for success is like crazy in someone creating art, and so the great thing about NFTs and fine art since the blockchain is that anybody can be an artist, and so that really blows the whole thing open, and that makes your fine art degree suddenly worthless, and that's a good thing. And I think that not to say of course it's not worthless, but it makes someone can be an artist that would not necessarily have been considered an artist, and they can have a genius mind, and they may not be very good at drawing, but that doesn't matter because they can be an artist in some other way, and programs allow them to do that, and that's really cool because we get new types of art. It doesn't have to be that everyone's really good at painting a landscape or good at sewing textiles or the very linear disciplines that art offered us before. Like now that doesn't have to be how it is. Like it can be that someone is good at doing something completely different, like coding, like you said, and that can be art. And so we're going to get different types of art now, other than the kind of 8 or 9 disciplines that we had before. I mean, not 8 or 9, but probably not that many more. People who are good at watercolor, people who are good at sewing, people who are good at ceramics, people who are good at carving, people who are good at that's basically it's about 50 things.
But
isn't
this
it?
is like that can still exist.
Expand it.
Like that can still exist. It's not or that. Like Gary Vee says that all the time. Like it's this and this. Like it's another new thing. Like I feel like blockchain art is not not trying to say every other type of art is real world art, traditional contemporary art is not worth anything. We're not against that, but it's an evolution, right? It's this and this, moving forward. So I like it. It's we really are at the beginning of it, and it's incredible how many actually incredibly freaky, amazing artists are already in Web3, let's say, and trying to do their bit and sell these one-of-ones, and it blows my mind, so yeah, I'm with you, man. I'd love to do more work in the future. n0vax, sorry, buddy, you got your hand up. It's your room.
I just am really appreciating you guys getting to know each other and appreciating each other. I knew immediately that you guys had to connect, So when I saw you rolling, I was like, oh, okay, we've definitely got to call attention to the fact that you're both, really in the same wheelhouse doing something that I think, and both have a deep appreciation for every time I speak with Meta 8, his first interest is not in the commercial aspects of what he's doing. He's always kind of interested in, how do you preserve this as something that's pure with pure intention. And I hear the same kind of thing just continually echoed from Alex as well. And the fact that you're both doing ENS related art is really special also. So Therese just rolled in though, and so I just wanted to say thank you, fellow artist, photographer, filmmaker, curious image maker, doing NFT research, So you'd just be such a fantastic person to jump up and get a question in if you want to chat with the artists here. We're talking about this unique style, Therese, which is, and I hope I'm saying your name somewhat close to correct. We were talking about this unique style of encasing Ethereum with .eth, which is the Ethereum name service registration for, for giving ourselves our wallet addresses with cryptocurrency, making them easily identifiable by just like an email address or something. So I'm n0vax.eth, and we've all got a little see you later, Therese. Thanks for being here with us. So I've got my ENS. You guys got your ENSs, and so now that we're all appreciating ENS to the level that we are, we're also spawning whole artistic genres and new types of art as well. And I think it's really special that you guys are leading the way on that. So thank you, Alex. I appreciate you, man, for striking a chord aesthetically. And thank you for being willing to kind of share the stage here with everyone to let everyone get their comments in. Atmosphere, I don't know if you wanted to chime in and ask any questions, or I wanted to start wrapping up the convo, but I don't want to cut it off urgently. I have no urgent need to go. But I also want to recognize that these spaces will, now I have them automated to go and automatically upload to YouTube. I actually have to go and do a few clicks. But so this content can be like a nice little 90-minute interview, and we could do these every so often to keep promoting you, Alex, and any of the artists and community members, the partners from NFA, any of the things that I'm doing where, we can benefit by helping somebody get a little bit of exposure in a way that's something more than just, okay, we did the space and it went into the Twitter, darkness of the Twitter feed, never to return. Instead, maybe we'll have, a little archive of some YouTube videos that can create some evergreen content that will more effectively capture the history and document what it is that you're doing. So yeah, Teresa, thank you for coming back. Maybe you had to drop out for a minute, but you're totally welcome to jump up and get in questions and speak here if you like. Last thing I want to say though, Slay, thank you for being here as well. Slay, I believe it was you, Slay, that I had registered ENS Church for a while back. I think you guys were doing something crazy with that. I'd love to get an update on that. I don't know what's up with that. It'd be funny to hear. But those ENS prefix been going off. What up, Atmosphere?
Yeah, I think I've heard you explain this before, but can you do it one more time? How do you exactly hook up your ETH name to your livelihood? You know what I'm saying?
Yo, so check it out. You've got your a few different places where you can interact with your ENS domains. Okay, the first one is just the app. ENS app.ens. What is it? Gosh, I'm gonna look right now because every time I space on it, which is literally every time, it drives me crazy. And I have it bookmarked right here. So forgive me. Yeah, it's just app.ens.domains. Okay, so when you're on the main site there, app.ens.domains. When you're at app.ens.domains, you can connect your wallet there, and that will give you the ability to view, your account. You can view all of your domains that you hold there. You can extend registrations, and you can update the records there. A place where you're going to do a lot of your buying and selling domains, and where you're going to do a lot of your listing and shopping and discovery and that kind of stuff is going to be ENS Vision. It's also a great place. That's where I look to find your address. It was the easiest place for me, Atmosphere, to go, okay, wait, what domain do you say is yours? Okay, I'm going to look it up on ENS Vision. Boom, click on the wallet hash that's holding it. And so that's how we do it. So now when you're ready to hook up your ETH address and get everything all dialed in on this record, that's where you're going to go. You're going to go to the, not ENS Vision, you'll go to app. And there I go again. Yeah, app.ens.domains. Yes. And so when you're there, you just type in Atmosphere, and pull up Atmosphere, edit that record, make sure that domain, I just registered it. Okay. So it wasn't acquired on secondary, which means that nobody else's Ethereum address is automatically in there already, or they didn't update it with that. It's just like a clean slate. Okay. Since it's a clean slate, you don't have to worry about there having been someone else's address there, but you do need to enter probably the resolver. You probably need to set the public resolver. So you edit on the record, select public resolver, and then you paste your Ethereum address into the ETH field. And then there's some other fields there that you can update if you want, like your avatar, and we can talk about those later. But yeah, did that answer your question, or still?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. And then you can basically hook up all your domain names to one domain at the same time.
Exactly. Yes. And then the one main one though is your reverse. You're going to set this as your reverse lookup, and there you can. That's very easy to do. It's just right in the main options within your ENS account. At that app.ens.domain. So look for that field to be able to say like set this domain. Atmosphere as your reverse lookup. And now see the next part of this, the reason why I'm doing this, because I'm trying to onboard you to Doge Party and B card and everything. I want to send you a B card. I want other people to be able to send you a B card. Everyone knows you as Atmosphere. I know you as Atmosphere. I know you around for a while, and I recognize your purple skull. And so I can't wait to see atmosphere.eth avatar record updated with your purple skull on the actual avatar, because that will be like that. I've been wanting that to happen. It's a weird part of my life, but that's something I like now. I'm like, feel satisfaction when somebody's like got it all dialed like that. It's cool. And to me, that means that, we've got another homie in the domain club who sees the value in what we're doing over here, and is connected from the PFP community to the ENS community and right back again. It's a full loop for us. And then that's when we start doing the real education. That's when you and I are in the metaverse spaces and we can shill stuff together and share commissions. And when the next bull market happens, we're making those connections because we're the people are going looking, whoa, you got the avatar dialed, you got the record set, you know what you're doing, help me out. So I want to build with people. I want to help people get started now so that we can help each other up, all the way through the next cycle and beyond. So thank you for, being a homie and sticking by and following around. You've been really supportive and sharing things that I've been doing. And I just thank you for that. You're a cool guy. So I'm glad that you got the atmosphere.eth. And I hope that, you filled out with your Bitcoin and Dogecoin and every other dang thing. Like, fill out that record, man. And the more full it is, hook up a web, put up atmosphere.eth.link, .eth.limo. And you have your decentralized website hosted on IPFS, but that's where we're going with all of it. So come along.
Exactly. Yeah. I love the vision. I'm so excited about it, and yeah, just constantly learning, and I just love listening to everything that you have for us.
My guy. All right, Alex, did you have... Oh, look, Therese came up. Cool. Thank you for joining us. Did you have a question for Alex, the creator of ENS Art?
Hello there. Actually, I just wanted to come up since you invited me. I wanted to be polite. Thank you for that. And I'm just curious about ENS. I'm trying to figure it out. So I understand you're wrapping this up, so you don't have to get into it too deep now.
That's okay. So I can try and onboard you if you don't mind, n0vax.
Oh, I would. Nothing would please me more. Sincerely, please go ahead.
Okay. I don't know what background you are, Therese. Oh, you're an artist. Okay.
My background. I got into digital media in the early 90s. So I've been around for a while, but mainly I'm a photographer. I've been teaching in digital image programs, but I'm not like a deep tech person, but I use digital media since way back. So I know some, and I don't know a lot. So ENS, I come to understand, is something that is quite usable, if I understood.
Yeah, it right. I mean, you've come to the right place, because I'm also technically inept. So I mean, I'm the right person to talk to, perhaps. And I was also not, into ENS, or didn't understand it until a few months ago. I actually had my own NFT project that I was ready to launch. I actually wasn't ready to launch, but I was a few months away from launching, and then I postponed it when ENS happened to me. Essentially, this is a domain name service that enables you to have, first of all, a shortcut to your wallet, but also a domain name of your own, and a presence in Web3, in the Metaverse, let's say. And people are essentially speculating on the idea that .eth will be the premier domain in Web3 in the Metaverse, and this has become incredibly important for many NFT traders, and Ethereum name service ENS is now and has been in the top 50 traded NFTs for a long time, and has been at number one for a while, and actually it's kind of seems to gain traction when all the other NFTs seem to lose traction, and so people have started to bank on ENS being the sort of thing to trade in NFTs because it's so reliably linked to Ethereum. So people are registering NFT .eth domains as NFTs. It's very easy to do. If you go to ens.domains, you can register any name you like, but you might struggle to, register a really nice name because most of them are taken now. But yeah, that's the sum of it. And it sounds like domain names is not very sexy or interesting for artists, but actually it is quite important.
A question.
Yeah.
You say it's one of the positive thing is the link to your wallet, but I also hear all this talk about security around wallets. So why would it be usable to link it to the wallet?
Well, if I, for example, and you maybe have to, we have to take ourselves, let's say, a few months or years down the line. If in the future we both have a wallet and I want to transfer you something, for me to transfer you a piece of art or a piece of currency or whatever I want to transfer you in the future, you need to give me a wallet address and you need to give me something that I can send something to. So if I send something to Therese .eth, it's much easier than me sending something to a 64-digit character domain name, so that it just shortens your ability to have an account, a wallet. So it just when I send something to you on MetaMask, I don't have to type in this lot. I don't have to copy and paste your your wallet address. I just have to copy and paste. I just have to type in whatever your domain name is. And if your domain happens to be very simple and easy to remember, then that makes it a lot easier. That's the very immediate functionality of it. n0vax, you're probably going to correct me and improve my pitch here.
You've done perfectly. It's really cool. Go on, Therese, please.
Why I'm a little skeptical because I haven't entered the kind of Bitcoin combo NFT space yet. I've been listening and tried to hope to learn, but a lot of people are talking about the security. I can see the advantage of having that, like your name and then the .eth, but is that kind of then locked to only one wallet? Because what I also hear are people having different levels of amount of wallets. So is that even then usable to have several wallets and still yet use this ENS domain name that are linked to all the wallets? Is that even secure?
Yeah, definitely possible, and definitely think of it this way. This is a really good analogy because I was born in the 80s, in 86, and so I probably wasn't old enough to really remember ever navigating directly to a website just based on its IP address, except for just to do some modem settings or something, 192.168.1.1. And that's how it was. Remember, before DNS, that's how the internet was. Everything was just an IP address. And then what happened? We got DNS. Oh, thank God for DNS, domain name service. It correlates your .com or your top level domain, whether it's a .eth, .net, or whatever, with the associated right, the IP address, and it's erroneous. The number of the IP address is erroneous, and it's hard for us to remember. And that's the same thing we got going on here with the inherent nature of cryptographic, decentralized distributed ledger technology, which is all that Bitcoin and Ethereum is. It's just a big ledger. You go to the bank, this many transactions, in, out, in, out, in, out. It's one big ledger for all. And because it's distributed, it can't get broken. Nobody can cheat. You can't double spend. Everyone knows the ledger is correct, and the distributed system makes sure of that. We haven't had any problems with that. So the ledger basically exists there to accommodate our transactions so that we don't need to rely upon a trusted third party like a bank who's taking a big cut and maybe and abusing us in other ways that we don't appreciate. And so we're willing to pay a little bit more in gas fees and transaction fees to circumvent some of those systemic criticisms that we have of the conventional banking system. But in the process, we've been sending each other like we were back in the early .com days. Oh, we got to copy and paste your OX and then a 42 character hexadecimal address, 42 character different capital and lowercase and letters and numbers. It's crazy. So that's what ENS is. It's like DNS, but it's ENS. It's Ethereum name service. So all of our Ethereum names, we associate them with, if we want, we don't have to, we can associate them with one ENS or multiple ENS. There's no limit to how many addresses you can associate with one domain, and there's no limit to how many domains you can associate potentially with one address, even though that side there is kind of some limitation. But generally speaking, though, the idea is that if I'm sending to atmosphere.eth, then he has his ETH address set up there as his primary ETH record. And if I send Ethereum to that address, it'll to atmosphere.eth, it'll go right to that walled address. And I don't ever need to know his 42 character long hexadecimal address. Just like when I go to google.com, I don't need to know that their IP address is 192.168.44. whatever. Does that help you a little bit in terms of the structure of what we're doing with the names?
I think I've gotten some of that.
Sorry, Therese. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted one last thing to add on to what he was saying. In terms of being an artist, I mean, I think certainly, creating NFTs or just being an artist, being a digital artist or an artist online, having a .eth name is now a kind of a piece of exposure that you could just use. You have a Twitter profile that's made up very nicely. You have your hashtags in the right place. You seem to have your website in the right place. If you added your .eth just to your profile, you would see a massive increase just of interest from people from the .eth community, which is a huge amount of people. So just from a purely selfish marketing point of view, you might benefit from it. So that's just something to add.
Well, I'm not sure if I agree, but that's me, and I'm an OG with a foot in the analog world, and I'm not sure whether or not I want to stay just with one kind of what do you call it? Bitcoin, ETH, or many of my artist friends, photographers, and others are having fun on Tezos, as you probably know. So why would it be valuable to be fixated to have a ENS only connected with ETH?
Yes, that's a good question. It's actually not just .eth isn't necessarily just fixed with Ethereum. It's every cryptocurrency. But maybe Weaver, you just come up. Something you wanted to say?
Yeah. I was going to just add. So, Therese, you're absolutely right that there are many different artists, and I'd consider old school artists exploring on different networks, especially like Tezos. So the way I think of the different chains is Tezos definitely feels very much like an art adopted chain. At least from my observations, I'm quite late to the Tezos scene. However, you'll see I've got 7808.tez. I also own 7808.sol, which is Solana, another network, and then the primary network being ETH, 7808.eth. So the way I think of the whole naming service, if you will, it's effectively your Web3 identity and your future flex. So if you imagine, 2 or 3 years from now and the way most people are going to transact, it's going to be blockchain enabled in one way, shape, or form. And with everything that you engage with, it's going to be that name resolver, whether I'm on the Tezos network or I'm on Solana or I'm on the Ethereum network. For me, it's irrelevant. You're always going to see 7808 as, I know 7808. I know him from Ethereum. It's got to be the same guy on Solana. So it's very much, I think of it as kind of your Web3 identity, and you've kind of got a choice of how you want to flex it. You can flex it organically with your name. If I was thinking, I'm a bit of I'm going to say a Web3 art collector. I'd say a Mickey Mouse collector will be it, but still a collector. So like from a collector's point of view, I'd love to see if I came to, Therese artgallery.eth, for example, or whatever your domain is for your business. And that might take me to an on cyber Web3 metaverse a gallery, if you will, where you can curate all of your offline artworks as NFTs. Use Tezos or Foundation, lots of different applications for bringing your offline art at least into an NFT kind of environment, and then showcase them within your own on cyber gallery. That would be almost perfect use case application as an artist, and for me as a collector to want to be able to kind of experience your work. So that might just be a kind of another angle to think about it.
Yes, of course. And I have a track record of been using different domains, but also, being around for a while, I also see the changes. Things come and go, and yeah, it's interesting. But what I've picked up as well is something special with the domain. Like it's more than just the domain name. Is it also people talking about you can create these different sites and everything, and yet you do need a service, and do you need to pay every year for a fee for this, or how is it?
So if you think of domains like the Ethereum name service as just a conventional domain name operator. So
Yeah.
you can purchase the domain, and then there are, you can obviously you can purchase the domain for 5 years, 10 years. There are different incentives to wanting to register a domain for a different length depending on kind of what your reason is. So if you're in the game for flipping, you don't really care for registering something for so long because you might be banking on hype and you just want that short-term gain. But, if you're here long term, I'd normally register a domain, especially if it's something you're registering it all depends on the amount of characters. The shorter the amount of characters, the more it's going to cost to register. And the shorter amount of characters, often there's more demand. So if you're looking at 3 characters, you can probably pick some secondary up for around 0.2 ETH. It's often quite difficult to register now 3 characters because many of those are taken and there's only a finite amount available. And also, if you think about digits,
You may be rugging, Weavy. I might be me. Anyone else want to chime in? Can you hear him?
Am I rugging?
No, he's good. He's good. I think n0vax. I think it might be your connection.
Okay.
Maybe I am meta rugging. Throw some emojis, everyone. If I'm just rugging out on everyone right now.
Okay. So if I'm rugging, let me know.
You're both. I mean, you're both good. I think, but I've noticed, and when you were talking before n0vax, that you were kind of a little bit bitty and PC.
Yeah, so you've got different character lengths, generally speaking, Therese. And to give you an idea, if you wanted 3 digits, in fact, they're all taken already. And, you know, the kind of flexing price they're going for is around 30 ETH. Now, why is that? That's simply because to have a 3-digit domain name, and the reason ETH
Can I just
has,
pause you there for a second? Could
yeah, of
you
course.
maybe explain what flexing? I think
Yeah,
flexing is a thing. Maybe to explain.
yeah. So, I mean, like, flex is kind of Web3 gives me a chance to flex. So, flex means to me my signature or my DNA online. Everyone recognizes Wavy, WVY. They recognize my yellow MFR. They know Wavy's also 7808. And like, as I build my brand online, yeah, I'm flexing 4 digits, and to have 4 digits, there's only 10,000 numbers available. To be part of this 10,000 member club, especially with the digits, it's something really, really special. It's highly sought after. So a lot of people are kind of aspire to want to get into the club. To give you an idea, I bought my digits at around 1.5 ETH. They're trading now at 3 ETH. But I didn't buy it I didn't buy it to make a gain, although it's extremely nice. I bought it because I understood the value of supply and demand, and the fact that there's only 10,000 numbers available. I thought, let me see if there are some special numbers available. So I'm born in 78 and my month is 08. So it's kind of a no-brainer for me. There's something special. I'm not likely to sell. It's kind of my signature, yeah, in the Web3 space for as long as I can maintain it all. So I thought naturally, once I owned the .eth, let me build a 360 identity across all the chains. So then the first consideration for me was, right, gather 7808 everywhere that it's available. So if you go to oncyber/7808, that's me. It's I'm 7808 everywhere. Yeah, and one more thing I would add, just with regards to Ethereum. The reason ENS is so special and Ethereum as a chain is so special, no one really I know there are lots of maxis for different chains and one chain is better than another, but Ethereum have done something really special recently where they've moved from a proof of work mechanism of validation, which requires lots of electricity consumption, to a proof of stake mechanism, which means that they've, gone from using what you could consider is an analogy someone described was every transaction would require the Eiffel Tower worth of electricity versus now only requiring a nail, the energy to bang a nail into a door. That's the amount of energy that proof of stake requires versus proof of work. So because of the ESG, or I think it's the ESG acronym they use for this, green facilitation of proof of stake, it's going to onboard a lot of, I think, institutional funds, which have been sitting on the sidelines because of the requirements of future investing with regards to being kind to nature in the world. And social responsibility, I'd probably add there as well.
I think I'd like to jump in here if it's okay, guys, because I think it's a really important conversation, and I cannot thank you enough, Therese, for saying so. Just giving us your candid take on kind of what is the value in this, and from your perspective, it's so great to hear. We can get really in our own little myopic bubble here, sometimes, and so just to get a bit more context, so what does this look like to somebody at first glance? And I'll tell you, I came to the Ethereum mining world in 2017, and I was very much of this kind of mindset of maximalism. Oh, this chain is going to be the one that's going to rule them all. Bitcoin is going down. Ethereum is going to be the best. And then I flipped and felt the opposite was true. I became a Bitcoin maxi. it wasn't until more recently that I've just seen the absurdity in all that kind of thinking. It's better to think of these as different ecosystems with their own inertial force governed by the amount of trading volume and liquidity and people who are participating in those communities, which does fluctuate to some extent, but generally speaking, the music's not over till it's over, and we have seen kind of a few chains emerge and shut down. But these big ones that are supporting huge market capitalization and huge, professional endeavors, and that have earned the trust of these, large players and venture capitalists and institutional investors are increasingly kind of well understood in the community to be worth securing our transactions on and having some confidence in. So Ethereum just happens to be the one of all of those that was the first one doing smart contracts. It has, bar none, the highest trading volume. Like when people are talking about anything to do with NFTs, with tokens, with anything crypto that is not Bitcoin, they're generally referring to Ethereum. And so because of that, it's just, this is where all the action happens. Ethereum is where the market cap happens. And that's why ENS is kind of the most interesting domain service. But yes, there are domain services relevant to Tezos, where you mentioned you have some friends using Tezos. And there are some domain services on even Binance Smart Chain and other blockchains. None of them, to my knowledge, is yet doing what Ethereum is doing, what ENS is doing, is saying, "Oh, actually, we're the parent in the hierarchical relationship, and we are allowing our ENS record to include all of your other wallet records. You go ahead and put them there, and we'll allow the wallet routing service APIs to integrate that." So that's the way that ENS is structured itself and positioned itself, just to say you can also, yes, Weavy has his 7808 on .tez, and that's cool because right now there's not a lot of wallets that support the kind of functionality that would be given by adding your Tez address to your ENS record. But in the very near future, there'll be Tez wallets and that will interact with MetaMask. We'll be able to say, oh yeah, just send some Tezos to 7808.eth. And if Wavy has his Tezos address filled out in his ENS record, the wallet will sniff that and route the transaction. So that's a little more information than you may have wanted, but it is just to kind of say that we're kind of, Ethereum is and the ENS naming service is the by far has the most utility, has the largest market cap and adoption and engagement, like by leaps and bounds over anything else. So it's like doesn't even compare. It's like the major leagues versus like T-ball. And I don't mean that in like a condescending way. It just, if you look at the volume, that's what it is. It's not even like it's not, those other things aren't really on the map. So as you pay attention more to like the scale of the economy, this is where everything's happening.
So may I ask, besides this functionality that we've been talking about, is there anything else combined with getting one of these ENS, any other kind of utility usage function that you can't get anywhere else?
So this is a really cool thing, actually. So right now you can't buy an emoji domain. Wouldn't that be cool if you could have artistemoji.com and you would be the only one who owned artistemoji.com? I mean, that would be cool. You can't have that right now. DNS doesn't support that. ENS does support a content hosting field. And so within the content record, you can point to any content hosting, and you can host a website on IPFS, the interplanetary file system, in a truly distributed and resilient way, which means as various sensorial interests in the world, and regardless of where you're from or who you are, there are people who are disingenuously attempting to censor righteous dissent so we believe in the ability for people to express themselves, and to say what they need to say. And so that's an important part of this too, is that, the persistence of information. We really want to acknowledge the fact that hosting websites in a decentralized way would make it so that, if you're saying something that a particular government may not like, oh, they're oppressing us over here and it's unethical and we're suffering, and they say, oh, we better shut that down. well, now they have a heck of a lot harder time doing it. It's basically impossible. So I think that's one part of this that everyone should understand, that the persistence of information is really a limiting factor in our ability to achieve liberty for ourselves and our families, internationally. Maybe in some places not so much, but in others it's really felt severely, and even more nowhere more recently than in Lebanon, where our friends in the ENS community are without the ability to deal to sell and buy and sell their domains on OpenSea. And so our community has built a second tertiary platform just to circumvent, that sort of state level actor encumbrance on the ability to just simply have an identity. And I mean, imagine that you're not allowed to buy or sell your identity. Crazy. So because of this, think about the content hosting field and the decentralized website aspect of it as being significant. And then also the emoji part of it is kind of cool. I mean, it's not the coolest thing, but like I have a squirt gun groom emoji, like James Bond. It looks like James Bond. It's a little squirt gun and the little groom with the tuxedo.eth. There's only one of those, you know what I mean? Of course, there's other skin tones. I got all those too. So there's only 6 of them total, but you get the point. It's a very limited supply to have that domain. To send the money to James Bond emoji.eth, squirt gun groom.eth. And people, they look at it, they see it. The other thing is with emojis, you don't have to speak any language to understand emojis, and you don't have to understand any language at all. So they're like hieroglyphics in that sense. So that's nice. And, we deal with people in all parts of the world who, in the Thai friends that I have from the 100K community, their keyboard looks so foreign to me. It's like I could never make sense of it, and likewise for them. They're more familiar with English, the keyboard layout, than I am, with their alphabet, but it's a challenging transition to do. And so an emoji identity, and especially digit identities, are just, they have a unique value in the global context in which we find ourselves. So that's kind of cool. There's other things too that the others here. The fact that you can associate an avatar record with it is cool. The fact that you can associate multiple different addresses with it is cool. There's other things too, though, like you can mint subdomains off of them. This is probably the best part, is that there's subdomain commercialization potential. So I can create isfireemoji.eth, and I can create a review website that's a formulaic template, auto-generates a website for you off of the subdomain. So when you create the website therese.isfireemoji.eth, then it'll be like, boom, it just automatically makes your profile on is fire emoji. And maybe it's like a restaurant review, is delicious.eth. Okay. McDonald's is delicious.eth. Maybe it would have a terrible review there. And maybe that's things like that. So you see the subdomain potential for different existing institutional dynamics is truly massive. So we're just only about to begin seeing the subdomain potential. The top level domains are just one part of this, but yeah. So I think that's pretty much all. There's more, but I mean, if anyone else has anything to add, there's a lot. That's why we call it the Swiss Army knife, because there's just so much to it.
Thank you for taking the time. And before I step down, I just wanted to check, you two who are hosts, you are like working with this and providers, or you're just into it and loving it?
The latter. We're the fans, we're the enthusiasts, and we're the early adopters. We're using it because it's profitable for us. So there's that part of it. I have over 600 domains. We're trying to see the value. I'm one of the first people registering lots of emoji domains. We're trying to, find where the market sees value and where we see value. Maybe we want to build on some of our domains. I have a few different project ideas that so that's kind of probably describes most of us. We're kind of builders and domainers.
Yeah, I reckon you could get Therese B, and it would be as we were saying, a giant flex. And you'll notice that a lot of people are putting it underneath their profile. I think it would look awesome under yours, but that's just a suggestion.
If you had a MetaMask wallet, and you could send it to me, I could register it for you and send it to you, and we can work it out separately for how to set it up. But I think that's a good idea, Alex. That if you have any interest in this, Therese, and we really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share. You've been really patient and kind with our lengthy and our enthusiastic answers. I'm sure to some extent you're like, who is paying you to do this? No, we hope that we're getting paid, in the future by virtue of the fact that the adoption is happening hugely. We actually feel so confidently about this that we don't feel the need to push this forward ourselves. We just do it because it's like, you'll see that the artist here, if you check out ETH on Art, what he's kind of done is to perfectly represent this phenomena that in which we find ourselves totally obsessed with registering ENS domains, totally excited. It's a common addiction. We're in a shared psychosis, and so he's sort of describing this palette of ETH encasement, which is a beautiful way of expressing like the potential that can exist within the .eth, right? With the window with which we're seeing the world. So check out his collection. It's a very bespoke, limited collection on canvas, and he's about to release ETH on photos, which will be a similar, type of aesthetic applied to photography.
I have to admit, I recognize some of your enthusiasm since I myself been in a similar spot, like in the beginning of year 2000. But I've been around a lot of tech people here in Sweden, Bahnhof and others, Rupsten, Rinkeby, and all those places. So, but I also been around to see things bloom up and things dying. So that's maybe I'm a little manana, but I'm curious and I'm interested. I want to know. I think it's important to get educated in things, regardless if you go further or not. But hello, guys. Thank you so much. And it's past midnight here in Sweden. I say good night to you all. I have to join another space. So
how do we say good night in Swedish, Therese?
God natt.
Good night. That's not too hard. I do okay.
Good night, Therese, and it's been incredibly interesting to talk to you. And if you're ever you see us around again, then drop in, and if it's a few months down the line and you hear more about .eth, come back and we can talk it through again.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.
Bye, Therese. Thanks for joining us. Amazing. Love the opportunity to onboard with you guys and to explore the dialogue, because we were having these conversations all around in our personal lives, in our social lives, and to be able to actually kind of troubleshoot each other in the process is actually really, it's like, oh wait, maybe we could have explained it a little bit more simply in this area. And did you notice how she had compared it to this or that, and so we can be sensitive to those things, and it really helps us to understand, because there's some things, that objections that are common to everyone, which have a fairly simple, straightforward answers that we just take for granted. And so if we can kind of address that in our, right out the gate, I think it'll make for a little better experience for people kind of making sense of what we're talking about. And it sounds like a little swaggery, when I'm saying, oh, we're the big leagues and they're T-ball, it's not the bravado I'm trying to put out, but it is the dynamic. I mean,
I think you did a pretty good job, dude. I think I think it's hard sometimes. I feel sometimes you're confronted with someone who doesn't know anything about .eth, and you have to really, you have to swivel and be like, shit, okay, what's my best stuff? And sometimes it's tough to just summon it. But you did a good job, I think, and I think Therese is fully interested. I actually found it really interesting talking to someone who doesn't know anything about it. So that was good.
Should I play us out with some jams, you guys? You feel like we got it all? We left it all on the table, didn't we? Left it all on the field.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love rocking out with you guys. I'm really grateful for the quality of people that I'm running with these days. When I boot up a space, the people who show up are just some of the greatest people. I really am honored to share a room with you guys. So thank you for your thoughts. And this is a great song. I don't know how I came across this song a few years ago, last year, and it's just a crazy, trippy one. But it's kind of a throwback sort of a style. I'm liking this kind of retro '80s vintage style. So let's jam out to The Gray Magician by Hermes Trismegistus.
The Gray Magician is alive. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome all. My name is Hermes, and we're about to take a journey. Raise the temperature, fan the flame. The noise of disillusion has us into seclusion. It's a psycho strange world we see. But I got a solution. Go grooving, feel the moving. Release your worry, forget your fear. Keys of creation, little distance, great magician. The Gray Magician is alive. Masculine, feminine, one and all. My name is Hermes, here to entertain the party. Bonafide alchemical energy to blast through all the fiction, false addiction, and suspicion. It's a psycho strange world we see. I got a solution. Go grooving, feel the moving. This ain't an ancient spring, something new. So suspend your perception as the music comes over you. The Gray Magician is alive. Black and white collide. We've got to erect the divine. Too soon to leave this goodbye. The Gray Magician is alive. No longer dead, no longer dry. Watch as I return to life.
Thanks, n0vax. Have a good one.
Later on, Atmosphere, you're welcome, man. Enjoy, man. Welcome to B Card, too. I'm going to send you a B Card ASAP.
All right, cool. We'll get that done.
Woo!
magician.